Hey everyone, today's class is going to be a core flow. It's going to be pretty short. You just need your mat, and if you feel you need some blocks, you can grab them. Otherwise, we're going to get going. We're going to start at the top of the mat, feet hips distance apart, and we're going to move through 4 sun salutations. We're going to move through a progression of sun salutations. You can pick whichever progression you'd like. We're going to inhale, reaching the arms up nice and high. And then we'll exhale to forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, nice flat back. Exhaling, planting the hands, we're going to step back to downward facing dog. This is the first variation, and you can do this every single time if you'd like. Taking this time to pedal the feet out, really slowly opening those hamstrings. And then we'll come to stillness, shift our gaze towards the front of the mat, and slowly walk our feet towards our hands into our forward fold. We're going to inhale up to halfway lift, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold, bending through the knees, and inhaling to lift back up to standing, reaching the arms up and releasing them down through heart center. Inhaling, circling the arms up. Exhaling, hinging forward to forward fold. We're going to step back to plank this time. Tucking the elbows in at our side, nice and tight. We'll drop our knees down and lower down chin, chest, and hips, and reach back into cobra, lifting the chest, tucking the elbows in tight, and exhale to lower the head down. From here, we're going to tuck our toes and lift ourselves back into downward facing dog, lifting those hips up to the sky, pedaling the feet out, checking in with the breath, shifting the gaze towards the top of the mat, and stepping or jumping towards the hands, coming into our forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Bending through the knees and pressing up to standing, reaching the arms up and releasing them through heart center. Inhaling, circling the arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, planting the hands, stepping back to plank, wrapping those triceps, lowering down halfway, and then lifting up into upward facing dog. Drawing the shoulders down the back, pressing through the tops of the feet, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. Tuning into the breath here, just taking a moment, and then shifting your gaze towards the front of the mat, jumping or stepping forward to your forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold, letting the head hang. Bending through the knees, inhaling up, reaching the arms up high, and releasing the hands through heart center. We're going to do this one more time, picking whatever variation you'd like, reaching the arms up, exhaling, forward fold, Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, planting the hands, stepping back to plank, tucking the elbows in at the sides and lowering down halfway and lifting up to upward facing dog. Tucking the toes and pressing back to downward facing dog. Steadying the breath here. The next thing we're going to do is a plank to down dog leg tap. So we're going to walk our feet out a little wider, not quite as wide as the mat. And then we're going to shift our weight into our plank pose. And then when we press back to downward facing dog, we're going to tap our right hand to our left leg. Coming back to plank, tapping the left hand to the right leg. Coming back to plank and switching back to plank and tapping. Back to plank, back to down dog. Moving with the breath, not forgetting to breathe here. We'll do this a couple more times. And then press back to downward facing dog and lower down to child's pose. Taking a few clarifying breaths here. This next part's going to happen pretty quickly, so we're going to press ourselves back up into downward facing dog. We're going to lift our right heel up to the sky, reaching long through that right leg. We're going to bend our right knee, draw it in to the right elbow, lowering it to the right wrist, crossing it over to the left wrist, lifting to the left elbow, and then exhaling, pressing back to three-legged dog and lowering that right leg down. We're going to lift up with our left heel, bending through the left knee, drawing the left knee to left elbow, wrist, right elbow, and pressing back to three-legged dog. Lowering the left leg down, going through this one more time, lifting that right heel up to the sky, lengthening through the right leg, bending the right knee to right elbow, wrist, left elbow, pressing back to three-legged dog, and lowering the right leg. Last time, lifting the left heel up to the sky, bending the left knee to left elbow, wrist, right elbow, and pressing back to three-legged dog. Releasing that leg down and lowering yourself down into a child's pose. Taking this opportunity to reset the breath. Lifting your head up, we're going to press up to tabletop and then lift our hips back into downward facing dog. Shifting the gaze to the top of your mat, you're going to slowly jump or step forward to your forward fold. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold, and pressing back up to standing, reaching the arms up and lowering them through heart center. For this next part, we're going to set up in triangle pose. So we're going to step our left foot back about halfway down the mat, angling that left foot in about 45 degrees. We're going to reach our arms out nice and long. We're going to shift the weight of our torso over that front leg, sticking our left hip out, and then reaching our arms out nice and long. We're going to begin to pulse up and down through the torso, only moving just a few inches here. Remembering to breathe as you move and trying to find a nice micro bend in the front knee. We'll move through this several times, feeling the engagement in the obliques or the side body. And then we're going to lift back up to standing, rotate both feet forward. We're going to rotate that left foot to face the back of the mat, right foot angling in, shifting our weight over our front leg, lowering into our triangle pose, and beginning to pulse up and down. Remembering that micro bend in that front knee. Remembering we only need to move just a few inches here. And feeling that engagement in that side body or those oblique muscles. Lifting back up to standing. We're going to step towards the front of the mat. Finding our feet hip distance apart, we're going to reach our arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. And then we're going to plant our hands and step back to downward facing dog. Lowering the knees, we're going to come into tabletop and set up for a knee lift. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to press into our hands, tuck our toes, and on an exhale, we're going to lift those knees up just a few inches. Trying to maintain a nice flat back here, pressing into the palms, pressing into the toes, and slowly lowering down. You can take a cat-cow here if you would like. We're going to move through this a few more times. Tucking the toes, pressing into the hands, exhaling and lifting the knees. Engaging that core, but still remembering to breathe here. Nice flat back. Pressing through the palms and then lowering the knees. Maybe doing a few rounds of cat-cow. And then we'll set up for a last round. Pressing through the palms, tucking the toes, lifting the knees, inhaling and exhaling. Engaging the core, drawing the belly button back towards the spine. Breathing and lowering. And taking this opportunity to press back into a child's pose. We'll take a couple rounds of breath here, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then we're going to lift back up and come to a seated position. We're going to set up for boat pose. Grabbing the backs of the thighs, lifting with a nice long spine, we'll hinge back and lift the feet. Releasing the arms, you can have straight legs or bent knees, that's totally up to you. But we're going to begin to lower and lengthen the legs out and then lift the torso and the thighs back together. Lowering and lifting, lowering and lifting, making sure to breathe as you move, keeping a nice long spine, engaging that core and protecting that low back. lowering and lifting, lowering and lifting, trying to slow the movement down if you can, and then releasing the feet down, grabbing the knees and drawing the chest through the thighs. From here, we're going to lower ourselves down to our backs and set up for one of our last core movements. We're going to place the hands behind the head, elbows out wide, lifting the shoulders up, bringing the feet up off the mat to tabletop. We're going to draw the right elbow to the opposite knee, reaching the right leg out long. And then we're going to switch to the other side, keeping the shoulders lifted, switching, trying to connect that elbow to the knee. And we'll just move through this a few more times, remembering to breathe. Switch. And then release it down, drawing the knees into the chest, maybe rocking side to side, massaging out that low back. And then from here, bringing the legs to tabletop and the arms to goalpost, we're going to drop the knees over to the right into a spinal twist. Taking this opportunity to slow down that breath. Drawing the knees back up using the core, and then lowering them down to the opposite side. Again, engaging the core, lifting the knees back up, and rolling yourself up to a seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day.